Hey everybody, and welcome to Wolcen Lords of Mayhem. This is a build video showing you a very enjoyable but currently very broken passive poison build. So at the moment, this is a build that I do not recommend using if you are watching this prior to the patch that eventually fixes it. But at this moment, which is February 21st of 2020, this build currently will not work for anything other than basic mob groups in certain areas. So this is the core node that you want to be taking a look at, Toxic Emanations. Well, essentially, you passively create poison stacks that you add on to enemies, and using the other nodes that I'm showing you here, you can stack many stacks of poison, and essentially, a very short amount of time, just wipe out full groups without having to do anything other than use the one active ability that kind of turns this build into just insane build, which is Plagueburst. When using the Plagueburst skill, you essentially emanate an aura that causes enemies to explode, and as you level it up, you gain access to an upgrade that causes the explosions to leave a poison cloud, and you can use this to devastating effect. My stat build, I just split between toughness, agility, and wisdom, focusing more on wisdom for the extra status effect bonuses. But to be honest, I think however you want to allocate is fine with this build. This is a gun spell build, so our main source of willpower use is pretty much just Plagueburst and, when necessary, Annihilation. And if it's necessary to go full active, then we have Havoc Orb for regenerating our willpower back. So as you can see, without dealing any damage at all, just standing there, all the enemies around me are just dying. And that is without using Plagueburst. Now, turn Plagueburst on, now you're seeing the enemies, they explode, they leave poison clouds, and they're leaving those green orbs that increase the amount of toxic damage we deal with all of our poison. So from the passive poison damage over time effect that's occurring, from the poison cloud that's occurring, from the explosions that happen, all of these things are increased by picking up those green orbs. This build is a ton of fun. However, as I mentioned, it is not usable in the current state of the game. Unfortunately, at the moment, anytime you enter an area where you have to make a decision to enter, when you receive the prompt to enter the next area, the passive just stops working completely, which is very unfortunate. So something I'm showing you here that you may have run across this character, maybe not. This character, if you happen to meet her in any of the dungeons, then in the armor tab, she will always have a unique item to sell you. Always. And it'll always, I'm not sure why, but it is always in the armor tab. That's not necessary to the build. She happened to show up while I was recording this, so I just wanted to point that out, as it is very useful information to have while you play the game. Anywhere she shows up, find her. If you have the money, buy what she has, because the uniques, you can create an entire build around many of them. So essentially, the reason that I didn't just end the video already is I want to show the bug in action. So you can see here that currently the passive is still propagating, is still working beautifully as it should without having to actively do anything. Having Liver Mortis is also a big boon for this build, since the default minion creates a lot of threat to pull enemies to it. I don't really like the other two options. I suppose that there must be ways to fit them into a build where they work, but personally the default minion I find to be the best no matter what build you're using. Now that we've gotten through all of that, we just entered this room where we had to give our consent to enter, and once we start this fight, you'll see that we're no longer passively causing damage. It is not occurring anymore. Now, in order to cause damage, we have to play actively, which is unfortunate. The other major glitch, actually the much bigger glitch really, associated with this build is that in Act 2, which is where I captured this footage from, when you reach the path where you're heading to take on Mercy, although I may be remembering it correctly, that I'm pretty sure it was on the path to taking on Mercy. Once you get to that part, the game will crash. I don't know the exact reasons for it, but this passive will cause the game to crash as you're playing through that area. I had it occur 3 times in the same zone, and it didn't stop happening until I respec my character without that passive. So unfortunately, it is not viable for going all the way to end game. Hopefully soon it will be, and then I highly recommend using this build. But until then, I want to try out a different build. I think there's tons of different builds to try out. I just wanted to show this one off because I had a lot of fun with it until the game started crashing. Anyway, thanks for checking out this video. You have a great day, and see y'all next time.